In this video about the WordPress Simple PayPal shopping cart plugin, I want to take a look at variations, options for particular products. Let's say this plate had multiple colors that you could choose from. How do we put that into the shopping cart plugin? And then we'll also take a look at styling, in particular, this checkout here on the sidebar and on the checkout page. Okay, how do we go in and change this shortcode here so that it reflects options like colors or sizes, anything like that? Well, there's no documentation here on the quick usage guide, so you have to go back to the Simple Cart homepage. And again, when we get there, we've got to figure out where to find this. I mean, it shows variation control here, but where do we actually go to get that? Well, we have to scroll all the way down here. And we go to the documentation site, and there's nothing obvious in here. In fact, where you have to go is this link right here, shopping cart installation and usage, and it's all the way down to here. There's our variation control option. Okay, so let's copy the text they've got here. Always hard to grab these sometimes. Just make sure you've got your opening and closing square brackets in there. So I want to compare this with what we've got now. So there we've got our shipping. So basically it's variation starting here and going to the end. So let's clip that. We'll put it after our shipping because we still want shipping on there. And let's see our variation name. First of all is, variation name is, let's say, color in this case. And variation 1 will be blue, green, and let's do red at the end here. So we have 3 variations now. Okay, and we'll update that. And now when we come back to our plain gray plate, which apparently is more than just gray, let's put this on here. Just we don't want to resend to the cart there. All right, there's your variation showing up there. And you can have multiple variations, by the way, as well, if you added another set of variations in there. You'd have to remember, again, to maintain this structure, right? Variation 1, its name. Well, let's do it right now. Let's make another option here. Copy that, put it in there, so I make sure I've got colon between their variation. I've got to rename it variation 2, and we're going to call this size. All right. If I update that, now we come back to this page. Now we've got size. And again, we would change those variations, obviously. Now this information, let's make sure this is getting passed along. Let's add to the cart. And it's going to show us a plain gray plate in green and red is actually as a separate item. So that's kind of handy to know about. Let's say I want one that's red and green, add to cart, and it shows up as a separate item as well. So that's helpful for somebody to quickly see the different variations that they've asked for. Again, let's make sure this gets passed along to PayPal. And here it comes. There we go. So we do have all our variations showing up properly. All right, so that gives you lots of flexibility that way if you've got different size t-shirts or you've got different colored whatever. That can be accommodated by this plugin. Okay, now what if we don't like, for example, the fact that this is in blue over here? How do we change elements? And I also don't like the line spacing on this, for example. There's a lot of space between the 2 lines. Well, you can change things in your style sheet of your theme if you target them properly. And of course, the way you want to target anything is to hone in on it. This is a widget. If I show you the CSS here, for example, we know that this is a widget. So it's in a widget. It's got a div here with the class shopping cart. So that would let you focus as well on that. And then there's not really much naming within here. Plus, there's a fair bit of inline styling, which you can't override here. For example, centering these items, which is fine. I mean, that's okay. You may want that. But let's say I want to target this. This is already under widget A. It's controlled by widget A. So I would need to make sure I did widget first, then shopping cart, then A, and that would give me my focus on that. That would allow me to change the color, let's say. If I wanted to do the line height, I would target TDs, any of these cells in here, and I would tell it to do a line height from there. You can make that change in your theme style sheet because if we take a look here and we go to our view page source, we can see that the style sheet for the theme itself comes first. And then here's the style sheet down here on this line. This is the style sheet for the plugin. Now it comes after your theme style sheet. If there's something in the plugin style sheet that you need to change, well, you could go in and manually change it via FTP in the plugin, but that will get overwritten whenever there's an update to the plugin. What you could do, and some themes already include this, if you've got another custom style sheet that appears after, just before the ending of the head here, if you put in another style sheet in here, that could override anything in the shopping cart style, but that's about CSS, and we won't go into great detail about that here. But in other words, it has to come after if you want to change something that's already in the styling here. But of course, anything that is inline, remember inline styles like the centering, that can't be overridden at all. But there isn't a huge amount of inline styling with this one, so there's a fair bit of room to play around with the actual look of this. You can't change this PayPal button here, but that at least gives you a few options if you want to change things. And briefly, remember we had here this problem of your shopping cart, your shopping cart? Well, that can be solved here if we take this out completely and update our options. When we come back to here and we refresh, we'll add another item to the cart. Look what happens. We lose your shopping cart here. That's good. But fortunately, the plugin does have a default name of shopping cart here. You can't actually control that from your widget. You go to your widgets here. You can't actually control that default title, but that's okay. Shopping cart's pretty innocuous. And that way you don't have the double your shopping cart, your shopping cart. So that's a quick look at options and customization of the styling for the WordPress Simple PayPal shopping cart.